Welcome back to part 2 of last week's episode. Let's go.
Yeah, but it was fun. So anyone in the Bay Area, like I said, urban, and this is not sponsored, but Urban Diversion. It's a really really great organization, little group. Amazing people get together. They have one where they're gonna go wakeboarding, rent a boat. They're gonna do like go to Yosemite. They went camping for stargazing. There's a lot of cool stuff. They
Eventually,
get
It's
when we find
fun.
far.
when we find time, eventually we should do like a PD 3 date. It would be
We
fun.
should.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
should.
Yeah, and then I like it because they take care of you. Like the tubing, they make sure you have snacks, and then afterwards they make sure like we were okay, and just like they just make sure that everybody got home safe.
Oh
Yeah,
god.
because they even texted like, "Are you okay? I know you ended up with a group that ended up getting very drunk. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys still had a great time."
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Oh.
But yeah, we ended up getting partnered with they were fun. They just had a little bit too much to drink by the end of the
Girl,
tubing with the
they were
sun
living their best life.
living their best life.
But it
They're
was
really
like I started with one person and I ended with a whole different person. Like I was like, what the heck? What happened? Like,
right.
who are you? Yeah.
But it was fun. So Jasmine.
Yes.
Oh, what have I been up to? Oh, well, I'm doing the pre-mat. All right. Yeah, I'm doing the pre-mat, and for me, I feel like it was a good idea to do it because, I mean, like, obviously, people were like, "Don't do it," because like, save those 2 weeks for like relaxing and like not doing schoolwork and like um, just relax and don't focus on school, like, because you're gonna have so much school. But like, I feel like just looking at the material and seeing what I'm gonna be learning and like getting kind of like basically dipping my toes in the water, has made me feel just more comfortable or like more confident about starting medical school because like I said, medical school is something I've never done before, and so like it's really scary to think about. And so just being able to keep up with like the amount of work that they're giving us, even though it's probably not anywhere near what I'm actually going to be seeing, has made me feel a little bit more comfortable. So they're just teaching us like strategies and things like that, on how to like preview a lecture or how to like, I think in my opinion, if I had to describe it, like work smarter, not harder. I think that's how I would
Yes.
describe like the program. Like they show you how to preview a lecture before you even dive into the lecture. And so that would be like the first time you pass something. And then also like them just reminding us that the first time we pass the lecture, like that's not gonna be like, oh hey, I understand it completely. I can describe it to you. Like that's not normal. That's not the way it works. Is it takes multiple passes for you to be able to feel comfortable with the material. And that's something that I think is gonna be really important because as like I'm meeting a lot of people in the program and they're like me. They're literally like me. Like they freak out, they're anxious, they're like type type A when it comes to school, like, like always on top of it. And I feel like we all have the same mentality where we like see a lecture and we're like, oh no, we're supposed to know it already immediately. Like we're supposed to be experts. And that's not the way it works. Especially with the amount of material you're going to be seeing in medical school. That's not normal. That's not what you should be expecting. And so, like I said, that's just making me feel a little bit more comfortable about starting medical school. So, yeah.
And then just to like just explain a little bit more, that's basically a program that you decided to do before
Yeah.
actually starting medical school. Because I think you
Yeah.
said pre-med, pre something. What did you
Yeah, so
call it?
it's called the pre-matriculation um pre-matriculation program. And so completely optional. Like I got some the medical school I'm attending, like they gave us the option to sign up for it, and obviously not everyone gets selected. They only pick like I think they only picked about 30 students or so. And so you if you get picked, you have 2 weeks of just like coming to class every day from like I think it's like 9 to 12. So 9 to 12. I think 9 to 12, and then Monday through Friday. And then when you go home, you have like lectures to watch and assignments or things to do. So
And
and it was optional, and so it's like a lot of people probably would rather just go out, travel, have fun, go see their family, do a bunch of fun stuff before we go to prison. But
yeah.
um I just felt more comfortable like being able to like be around people who are feeling like, and that made it me feel more comfortable too. Like I got to meet a bunch of people, and like I didn't like, because I get stimulated really easy. Like if there's a big group, I get like shy, nervous, like I lose my train of thought. And so just meeting like all these people for the first time in a smaller setting, I think was really helpful for me because I'm shy, especially if I meet you for the first time. And so for me, that's really helped me like at least develop study groups and develop like early friendships, because I think going into medical school is going to be really hard, and we're going to have to learn how to lean on each other, and that's really hard to do if you don't know each other. So I think even just learning to build connections has been really helpful too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
they teach you any classes?
Hmm?
Do they teach you any classes?
Do they teach
Like
us any
during
class?
that period, did they teach you any classes or just strategies on how to manage medical school?
No, no, no. Like we're literally doing lectures. Like the second week of the program, we have 11 lectures. Um, we have 11 lectures. So the first week, super light. I think we only got like two lectures. And then the second week, they're like, here's 11 lectures. You're going to be tested on them at the end of the week. We're like, okay, 11 lectures. But I guess it's a good introduction to what it's going to feel like. The
Okay.
feeling of being overwhelmed. So, yeah, no, we're actually going through stuff like we're learning embryology, histology, anatomy. We're actually like learning stuff. Yeah. And also learning strategies and things like that, like the previewing and um how to use Anki and how to use like different resources that they're giving us that will be useful for like when we actually start medical school.
That's great. And I'm happy that you did decide to do it because at least like you said, you're getting your feet wet, you're dipping your feet in a little bit to get just a little idea of what you're going to be experiencing. And then a big bonus too is just you already meeting your classmates, some of your classmates, building that bond because you're going to need that in med school. You're
Yeah,
going to need
yeah.
to travel bond with your classmates basically.
Oh, we are. And like it's funny because like I told you, like I'm like talking to them and like they remind me so much of me. Like it's so funny, like the way they freak out, the way they like just the way they think. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's totally something I would do. It's really funny.
So normal.
I feel a lot normal, a lot more normal. Like I'm meeting more people with ADHD too. I'm like, oh my god, you have it too.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys ever heard the saying that I say this with all respect.
I
But
don't. I don't.
the saying that like doctors and everything are super weird because
Oh, for sure,
they're,
I could see.
they're super smart so they have a hard time holding conversations, just normal conversation outside of medicine. So in the few doctors that I've run into, like MDs, I was like, yeah, you're kind of awkward. But I feel that you have to have that awkwardness to be a doctor. And that's the reason why you fit right in.
You know what's hilarious? There was like someone I met, and straight up I was like, "You're weird." Like I was
You
like,
guys
"You're
are
weird."
weird.
I literally told them like, "You're weird," and I was like, "But I'm weird too." So it like makes sense. I was like, "It makes," and like they did not take offense. They were like, "Yeah," and I was like,
Yeah.
that's how I knew when they accepted what I told them. I was like they took it like I didn't know them that well to be able to tell them that, but I felt like they would receive it well because like I felt they were very much like me.
But doctors would do weird stuff like that where, you don't read the room, you just say what you feel.
Oh no, honey, I read the room.
Part of your ADD.
Oh, honey, I read the room. I knew exactly what was going on.
Oh,
Huh?
how has that been? I said it's part of your ADD, but your ADHD. How has that been in that program? Do you feel yourself like, is it challenging?
Yeah, so I am noticing now things are making way more sense. So I'm noticing I do better like when I study at home, and now it makes sense because like if I'm like out somewhere, there's like things going on, and I'm like I start paying attention to it. But when I'm home, like there's nothing going on here. Like there's nothing going on here. I so like I can focus better. Same thing like versus a pre-recorded lecture versus a in-person lecture. Like an in-person lecture, there's tons of people in the room. There's people doing different things. You'll see people on like on their laptops. You see someone like playing a game. You'll see someone like online shopping. And like when you're pre-recorded, it's just like that's it. That's all you see.
Just
And so I
focused.
so that's like I think my ADHD, like I get stimulated by things and like
Mhm.
I'm just focused.
A
And
follow-up question.
yes.
Now that you know you have ADHD or you've been diagnosed with ADHD, do you feel that you're overly focused on it? So like every little thing is like, oh, it's because I have ADHD. Then before is, you thought maybe it was you knew something was off, but you couldn't really put any,
Pinpoint
you
it.
couldn't make the connections. For an example, for me, and this is like way left. This is way left. So when I went to the podiatrist and the podiatrist told me like my left leg was like a half an inch shorter than my right. So everything I did, I was like, oh, it's because of my left leg is shorter. Like I overly thought about it constantly because it was like something new that was told to me. So do you feel yourself literally applying everything or blaming everything on your ADD?
No, I
No?
don't. I'm not gonna say I'm overly focused on it, but I'm definitely more aware. Like I'm not overly focused, but I see it more. Like I don't go looking for it, but like I sometimes I'll have aha moments where I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But not to the point where it's like taking over, like no, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No,
Okay, that's good
yeah.
because I can see myself. Are you sure now? Because even then, with our friend group, like friend group, I know you'll say now it's because I have ADD or ADHD. It's because I have ADHD.
Well, you know what? Let me explain. I do with other people because I'm like trying to help you guys understand why I do it now versus before you'd be like, oh, she's weird. You know what I mean? Like even with Jonathan, because he knows I'm weird too, right?
Hmm.
And I would be like, I remember when I was like reading up on it and I was like, oh my gosh. So I sent him an article on it so he could understand like some of my quirks. And I'm like, did you read it? Did you read it? And he's like, no, I haven't read it. So now I just point things out to him because I'm like, since you didn't read it, I'm just going to point it out to you.
Like here we go.
It would have been easier if he read the article, but now I just have to give him a like lecture here and then like, oh, look, that's it. Yeah, no,
Okay.
I don't think it's too much.
Okay. Well, that's good.
I can still live life.
You can still live life.
Yeah.
Oh well. Yeah. How are you living life now that you're in your program, the pre-program, and
I
I
sleep
guess
less.
like in school?
I
Huh?
sleep less. I sleep less. Um, definitely smile a little bit less.
Yeah. Uh huh.
Um, definitely eating my words a little bit. Remember how like I don't remember how long ago it was, but I was like, I can't wait to go to school. I can't
That
wait to
was yeah.
be at school. Because I always felt like left out because like you and Kathy were in school, or like Eo was in school. Eo's my friend, by the way. She's also at the medical school I go to. But like like my close friends were in school, and like I am a person who likes school. Like I like being in school. I like learning. It's something I've always enjoyed. I like learning. I
Hmm.
think being able to learn makes you I don't know, I like it. It makes you cool. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've always been a nerd. But
Yeah.
so I missed it. I was out of school like so I did the post back, right? I did the post back and then after that I was just an EMT, so I wasn't in school for at least a year, maybe a year plus. So like I
Uh-huh.
missed school. So yeah, I missed it. Am I eating my words now? A lot, actually. A lot.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
It's a
warn
lot.
you.
Yep.
I know,
I'm
I
trying to
know. I
tell
mean,
you we're suffering during that first year.
I know. No, I know. I know. But yeah, I sleep less. I have less time, things like that. Um,
How was the
I'm
move? How has you like the move from like your first week? Like was it like super? So I know like you said you moved and then you were gonna start the pre-program like right away. How was that?
Yeah, so I moved and I think I only had like a few, I think I had like 3 days before I started the pre-matriculation program. So like I
Mhm.
moved, the first off, the move was horrendous. Um, it was like 114 degrees while we're moving stuff. 114 degrees. Like I get hot with 75, above 75. Like above 75, I'm dying. So when I was like here in 114 degrees, I feel like I'm in an oven and I'm just being tortured, if I'm being honest. It felt like torture. But overall, I think the move's been good. Like little by little, I'm trying to put stuff away, but it's been hard because like the program started within 3 days. So my house still looks like a mess a little bit because there's still boxes and things I have to unpack, but overall, I mean, I really like my place. I'm trying to make it home, but it already feels like it's gonna be a nice home. So, um, I would say overall the move is going good, but it was rough in the beginning for sure because of the heat. But
Everything.
like, I'm literally getting a tan now. Like, I can see my arms are way darker. It's crazy.
At least you're getting a tan and not burn.
Yeah, I try to wear sunscreen because I know it's really bad.
It's
Girl,
the
boy,
sun.
that sounds about 50, and then
Yeah,
put it on all after 5 hours again and again. You do not want to get
yeah,
sunburn.
it's bad. Even
Yeah.
just walking from classroom or like from the car to the classroom. Oh, it's rough.
Yeah. Yeah. Going back to what you're saying about like you're eating your words now about, starting like, being in school and wanting to be in school again. I do think
Mhm.
learning is very fun when you're learning about
Something you want
things, something, yeah, your career, like something you want to learn about. But
to show.
it's so funny because I was talking to Jasmine the other day on the phone. She's like, I'm so stressed. I have so many lectures to do. Da 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 da. And I was like, yeah, but remember, learning is fun. Remember,
Oh hell no!
you're
I
crying on the phone.
I will say this, learning is not fun when you have to learn that much at one time.
Because you really
Yeah.
can't learn it. That's okay.
Mhm.
That's one. Yeah, that's one thing I hate about school is that, the information is interesting, but they
Mhm.
literally give you so much information at once where you're not really learning. You're just skimming it, trying to make sure you can review as much as possible so you can pass the exams. But
Mhm.
it's too much at once where it's not fun because you're just trying to cram because you have 16 lectures to do.
It definitely takes the fun out of learning because you get to a point where you're like, oh, I don't have enough time to go into it, so I'm gonna skim it, and then it's not fun because you don't know it completely well, and you're just
Mhm.
like, you're kind of BSing it, and that makes it not fun because then you're not putting it together, and then when you don't know something, that's not fun. Like, let's be real, like it's not fun to go to school and not know something, and then like you're over here like, do I know enough? Like that takes the fun out of it.
It
So
definitely takes the fun out of it. And that's why I'm happy you're in this pre whatever program you're in, because to teach you how to study. Because again, it's not fun being it's not fun, especially because you said that you pick up things slower than your peers.
I do.
So that's 20 times harder than for you to try to learn everything with that short amount of time. Um,
Yeah.
because even me, again, I'm always complaining about my clinicals and how I feel that I'm not up to par compared to another classmate. And again, it's not fun. And I'm looking at her, it's like, girl, what time of the day do you have to learn all this? Did you already know this before school? What is it? But you literally have to sacrifice your life
You do.
in a sense when you're in school, and especially when you're studying something that something like healthcare where it's always changing. Like we're learning
Mhm.
this and we're learning, like the basics, but when you're in healthcare and like medicine, there's something new. Like you will always be learning something.
Lifelong learner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's
Taking
real.
it taking it back a little bit to pre-mat, it was also really useful to find out what wasn't good for me too, to be
A lot.
honest. Because so I remember one of the lectures they gave us, it was about embryology. When I'm telling you, they like showed a 2-minute video and like we're all just sitting, the room is quiet. You can hear the crickets, like you can literally hear the crickets. Um, like I look around and like I see all of our faces and we're like, WTF, like what did they just show us? And then they were like, okay, now open your lecture. And I was like, I hope the lecture is better than that video, right? Because I'm like, that video was rough. So we opened the lecture and they're like, okay, you're gonna have 30 minutes to they were like, you're gonna have 30 minutes to preview. So basically within 30 minutes you should answer these 10 questions. Keep in mind this is like pretty complex stuff. So 30 minutes for 10 questions. I was like, there's no way. So they gave us 30 minutes to go through 10 questions and answer the questions kind of. And once it was over, I felt like terrible because I was like, I don't understand anything. And then that was the point where they were like, you're not supposed to understand it fully. Like that was just a preview. That's just supposed to give you like the general idea or the general model. So then after I remember I went home and I was like, I'm gonna learn this today because I felt so bad that day that I didn't get a full understanding, right? So I went home and tried to teach myself. I got an article and started the article that they gave us and I started reading it. I spent like 4 hours reading like the the reading, and it wasn't a long reading. It was like 3 pages worth of reading. When I tell you I spent 4 hours reading that and did not know what I was reading, I would say 4 hours. I did not know what I was reading.
That's
I
me
would
all
say
the time.
no, hold on. I would say 4 hours, and then I was like, I felt like I felt like I'm not gonna lie, I felt like crap. I was like, oh wow, Jasmine, like you're dumb. Like you don't understand this, and you spent 4 hours. And then like I sat for a moment. I was like, no, 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 no. This is not your resource. You need to find a different resource. You need to do
Yes.
something different.
Hmm.
And so I found a different resource and I was like, light bulb, literally light bulb. And so then I thought about it and I was like, okay, that was a really good, really good learning lesson. You wasted 4 hours using the wrong resource. Keep in mind in medical school, like you're not gonna have time to waste time. Like you're gonna
No.
have to be
Right.
very efficient with your time. Therefore, if something is not working for you, drop it and move on to something else. And for me, for the pre-mat program, that was very helpful because I made a mistake there in my learning, and now I know like don't be hard headed. If this isn't working for you, find something else. And I
Yes.
thought that was really helpful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, it sounds like it's very helpful because time is of the essence. Like you said,
Yeah.
you do not
Mm-hmm.
have time to waste. You barely have time to sleep. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy that you learn something that kind of works for you, and like you can't waste your time. Because for me, I'm a visual learner, so me just getting a book and reading it, I'm gonna be like you, Jasmine. Like, what is this? It seems like I'm reading like a different language. I'm not picking it up. But if I go to YouTube and watch a video that of someone that dumbs it down and breaks everything down for me, and then when I go back to that we reading, it makes more sense. It makes a
Completely.
lot of sense.
And that's what I did. But I think what I got confused is they showed me a video and I was like, oh, the video wasn't helpful. I'm like, no, no,
Oh
no.
yeah.
That video wasn't helpful. But there's not to say that a different video or a different source I
Hmm.
find will be helpful. And that was where I made the mistake. But yeah, it was like a light bulb.
It's
And I
like,
was
what?
like,
But it's
I'm taking this into medical school. So
Yeah,
yeah.
but that is awesome that you have that instead of you starting, your first semester of medical school, new things, new settings, and then now you're trying to catch up because you're trying to do these things that are not working for you and time is running and you're trying to catch up, which is basically what happened to me on my first year in nursing school. Like I was just trying to do the same thing that I used to do before and it wasn't working and I was just like I was being hard headed. Like I'm like, no, but it needs to
Yeah.
work because it worked before. Like, what is different? I'm like, yeah, duh, it's different. You have a kid, you have a household, you live far away, you have all these things to change.
All these
So
other
now,
factors.
Yeah,
yeah, I'm
for
like,
sure.
you need to change. your style. But I found this out like after half a year later, like like I was half of
Yeah.
the year and I had already wasted so many time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm
Yes.
happy that you got this experience because I feel like medical school is it's a lot. It's
So,
more. So then now you're kind of like ahead of the game. Like, oh no, that doesn't work for me. That's fine. Like you're learning to like maneuver around it, which is it's
Yeah.
really good and really helpful. And yeah, I just wanted to say.
yeah. And what about you, Kathy? Because I know you just kind of mentioned right now that you took you basically a year for you to put the pieces together. So how has it
Mhm.
been now that you started the F&P portion? Because before January, it was all the pre-licensure portion. In February, sometime I don't know when, but you had took your RN license. But
Mhm.
now January until now, like you have been focused on the F&P portion, the family nurse practitioner portion of the program. How has that transition been for you?
That's a good question.
Stressful? Is it easy?
It's been weird. It's been weird. So basically, I was used to like a year of like, oh, lecture, you have tests, lecture, test, lecture, test. But I feel like the master's part is more writing and more like you're learning that on your own.
Hmm.
So I mean, it's
Uh,
hard because it's not like you could do like a study group to let's write an essay together. There's no way. So like for example, for this semester, it was very like you're on your own, like okay, we're gonna see each other once a month, but you also have to like keep being responsible for your own stuff because yeah, you see the teacher once a month, but that doesn't mean that you're gonna have homework once a month. You're gonna have homework weekly. So I've had to like organize myself as like I use my Google Calendar and I put the days that I'm gonna have lecture. That way I don't miss them because there's a few lectures, but you have to attend or else it's gonna go down like significantly on your grade. Like it happened to me a bit ago that my class was at 93%, and I went to look at it and it went down to an 87, and I'm like, what what happened? And I looked at the breakdown, and it was because she said that I was absent for one of the classes. And I was like, oh girl, I was there. Like I sent her an email about like what we talked about the day in class, what theory we discussed, like everything. And she's like, oh yeah, I'm so sorry, Catherine. It was like a mistake. And then I'm like, okay. And then my grade went back to an 83. But still, like it's just a lot of reading, and then that's what it was like kicking my butt when having Tiago here because I would read late at night, and it was the reading is dense, and then some of the reading is interesting, and I did get mad about stuff that was happening in society, like about like laws and Medicare, and then how it's like messed up that like old people do not get like coverage for their eyesight or in their ear side and their teeth. But yeah, like that's the one thing that they need their eyesight and the ear, like yeah. So some readings I would like get really passionate about, and then some readings there would be a little bit more complex, and then I'm like, okay, well, I need to go to sleep because I'm nothing is getting in here. So the next day I'll have to like wake up early and try to read it again. And also writing is not my strong suit. And I was talking to Linda about it last weekend
mhm.
because Linda was like, you need to use like the library resources and use more resources because before you exhaust the one resource that I have right now, which is my classmate, which she like really helps me a lot. But like when you talk to someone else, and like they point out stuff that maybe you're not seeing, you know. So
Yeah.
Linda was like, no, dude, like I think like you need to like give her a break. Like okay, okay.
I was to use the writing center because
Hmm.
they have a thing where you can submit your paper and they give you like a 3-day turnaround where they edit your paper, give you feedback. And I was basically saying instead of overusing your friend, your classmate, because she's in the program too, she's nice and she probably don't. And I tell her straight up, that's the reason why I'm your friend. I'm like, it gets exhausting if you keep asking your classmate, hey, can you review this? Hey, can you review this? Because they're in the same program. They have the same amount of work that you do. So I was like, use
Hmm.
those services, use the tutoring center for
That's
your paper.
pretty cool that you even have that for them to be able to review that. That's really cool.
Yeah, and then that's why I was like very like ready for me to get my response from my draft, because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get this draft, I'm gonna get it done, and I'm gonna talk to the writing center so they could help me like polish it for the final submission. But something happened to the teacher, and then she just said to just that our draft is gonna be our final submission. So,
Wait,
but in the future,
What?
yeah,
wait. She said the one that you submitted will be the final. So I'm
hmm
hoping she's gonna give y'all 100% because
she said,
that's not
yeah, she said everybody was gonna get full credit.
that's look at God. Look at God.
God got my
Girl.
back because
I
I was
got
not
you.
feeling well for anything.
I got you a day
Like,
first.
won't he do it? Won't he do it? He was gonna not let you stress over it anymore. Because
No.
I was to add on, because like I know how stressful it is for you, Kathy, to write papers because English is your second language. So it's difficult. Like I said, English is my first language and my grammar is not top tier.
I
English
would
is
say the
hard.
same thing. Like, English is, I mean, technically my first language, and we struggle too. So writing is really hard.
And I
Hmm.
Uh-uh.
feel like master's program is like you gotta level it up, you know?
Oh
Like you
yeah,
have to
they're
use the course, you have to do like a lot of resources. Like it's a lot of like what's it called? Not investigating, but a lot of like reading articles, finding the right resources, research, and
it's
had it to prepare you with my paper, making sure it's a legit source, making sure it flows, making sure I'm answering the the topic. So I think that has been like the big difference for me between the RM part and the FMP part. That the RN was very like test focused, and this one is more like it's knowledge. I learned a lot, like a lot, and I read a lot, but it's just the writing is so intimidating to me.
how,
But I'm working on it, and then it's crazy because I do have a lot of also like PowerPoint presentations where I have to like present like this, and it's weird. I get so nervous, like my mouth gets dry, like I have to take so many takes for that one presentation. But
Yep.
I'm learning that I need to get comfortable because like whenever I speak with an audience, like I need to be, my confidence needs to be out there so I could talk whatever I need to say whatever I need to say.
how long have you been in the FNP program?
Since
Since January.
yeah, since January. And
Do you
honestly,
do you feel a little bit more comfortable in that, like, now that you've been doing it for a few months, or you're
Well,
still
yeah,
adjusting?
now I am, because so like when I started on around January, February, it was a lot of reading, and I wasn't really like reading the assignments
Mhm.
until like I learned that I'm like, no, it's important that you really read your assignments because the
Yeah.
answers are right there instead of you like running like a chicken without head trying to make the assignment last minute. So like I learned that it's important to like read it's called required reading, required learning things. And I
Mhm.
read everything. I read everything. It's an article, I read it. If it's 20 pages, I read it because that way I won't be wasting time trying to look for another resource when I have a resource right there that I could use for my paper.
Yeah.
yeah. And then that's why I was telling you before, like back in January or before, that these 2 semesters are in a sense the easiest semesters because it's literally just reading and writing. You're not really doing any hands-on stuff. So that's why I was telling you if you know that if you wanted to go to Columbia until fall of this coming up fall, you're able to, because again, you're not in clinic, you're just literally reading and writing. So right now, to me, this portion is the easiest besides like the writing, because
Mhm.
starting January, that's when you really feel like an FNP because you'll be in clinic. You'll be actually diagnosing, prescribing medication, doing like all the hands-on stuff. So that's another reason why you'll get the real experience when you start clinicals.
Yeah, and I'm
So,
trying to get kind of prepare myself. Like I'm like, okay, you need to learn how to talk to people because it's important. It's that skill that we need. So I'm like,
mhm,
okay, I need to like calm my nerves down, like trying to, like know what it's ahead so I could like work on it before I'm like there in the moment,
Yeah.
which is kind of hard because I'm not in that situation, but just just trying to calm my nerves.
Yeah, and then obviously, like, you're not gonna really be able to get better until you're actually doing it, but
Hmm.
it'll be a work
Yeah.
in progress.
Exactly. You got this. We all got this. It's all a learning lesson. We just have to be more kind to ourselves. We're new to this, so it's gonna
Yes,
take
we
some time.
are.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I wanted to ask a question to Jess.
Yeah,
So now that you started the
the
program,
pre-med.
if,
Mhm.
yes, and let's say when you start school, somebody comes up to you and asks you, Jazz, do you recommend the pre-program? What would you recommend it? What would you say to that person that is gonna start embarking in this new journey?
I would say that personally, I found it helpful for me because I knew myself and I knew what I needed. I know that I'm the kind of person who likes to be like really prepared and I tend to get anxious. And so I knew that going into the pre-mat program was going to give me a little bit of an introduction into how to study or just different techniques and allow me to find some like a better um like path for myself or just a better way of managing medical school. And so if you're anxious about starting medical school and anxious about like maybe your study techniques, I would say I do recommend it so that you can you know do trial and error during those 2 weeks to try to figure out what works best for you. So,
Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll see you next week.
thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of PD3 with your hosts Linda, Jasmine, and Kathy. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe at a potent dose of 3 so that you never miss an episode and your weekly dose.